Their barbaric tactics have cowed most of polite and Christian society into a quiet complacence, or even a timid affirmation for fear of being canceled or worse. Well, by now, you have all either seen the bizarre and blasphemous spectacle that was the Paris Olympics opening ceremony, or surely you've read about them and seen some of the photos. And you've heard about the subsequent backlash. And I say subsequent backlash because thankfully there have been a number of both evangelical Protestants as well as Catholics that have spoken out against this gross and inappropriate scene. The mockery of the Last Supper and what it represents, notwithstanding the larger question as to the breaking of the second commandment in its original painting, is just the latest in an overall attempt for the West to distance itself from the long standing Christian heritage she possesses. The spokesperson for Paris 2024 Olympics, Anne Deschamps, told Reuters that all the opening ceremony was trying to do was, quote, celebrate community tolerance, end quote. She went on to say that, quote, if people have taken any offense, we are really sorry, end quote. Now, the problem with that type of an apology is that, well, it's no apology at all. It's like when you say something ugly to your spouse and then half an hour later you tell them, I'm sorry you got upset. For all of us that have made this profound mistake, we know that it doesn't soothe any feelings or repair any actual damage. If anything, it only angers them more because all you're doing is doubling down on the offense and pandering to the fact that they got upset when you did something pretty gross. Now, I'm not the first to notice, but the French didn't dare mock Islam or Muhammad. They knew that that would end with streets full of violence and rage. But don't be tricked into thinking that this is somehow a rejection of blasphemy laws altogether and that the French are just above it in their philosophy and liberty. Of course, it's not. Man is inherently religious, and we have to have a God. And we will also give that God all the worship and deference that a God demands. We've already seen this on display at the Olympics this summer as well. Yesterday, Eurosport commentator Bob Ballard was removed from coverage of the Olympics because of his, quote, outrageous, end quote, comments. Now, what could he have said to stoke such resentment? Well, he said of the female Australian swim relay team, after their gold medal winning performance in the 4x100 race, quote, well, the women are just finishing up. You know what women are like, hanging around doing their makeup, end quote. That's it. But this blasphemous insult was met with instantaneous disgust and contempt. How could Bob be so vile? One online user stated, quote, Bob Ballard, hang your head in shame and get off the broadcast and back to the 1930s, end quote. Now, you see, the God of feminism and intersectionality will not be insulted. It will not tolerate blasphemy of any kind. So you kneel down at your own national anthem to show your loyalty. You tear down historically significant monuments and deface the Liberty Bell. Burn businesses, police stations, and courthouses to the ground. Rob, maim, and kill if you must. But make no mistake, the alphabet mafia and their globalist cronies will have their pound of flesh. Their barbaric tactics have cowed most of polite and Christian society into a quiet complacence, or even a timid affirmation for fear of being canceled or worse. But we need to stop giving in. We must start speaking out. And we must begin to retake and reshape the narrative. And the only way to do this is with overwhelming numbers. And this is what we're talking about when we say we have to take the fight to someone. This is what it looks like. The early church fathers died as martyrs, not because they were so accommodating and nuanced in their proclamation of the gospel, but because they pushed back into every dark corner of society that they found. They fought religious corruption, tyrannical governments, Gnostic heresies, pagan cultures, and all manner of real blasphemy among men. But what they never did was cow down and nod in agreement. And when the kingdom of darkness suffered losses, and believe me, they did suffer many losses, we gained ground. We gained so much ground that it's taken nearly 2,000 years for the West to forget the world shaping influences of these saints. And we owe their memories better. And we certainly owe our Savior more than the lackluster, phone it in, we'll be there on Sunday if something better doesn't come up style of worship that we offer him. If worship is warfare and singing, praying, and sharing the gospel is how we take ground back, then let's drop all the half hearted and phony garbage and let's once again put on the full armor of God. We need to draw our swords, hoist our banners, and for the love of God and King, fight. For Civically Minded, I'm Corey Wing. Until next time.